see what we want to see. Should only see the only. Hello and GM, ladies and gentlemen. Good Tuesday, happy day, and welcome to STX Bitcoin DeFi Advanced Strategies. Today, we have a special show. I'm extremely excited for what we're going to get into today. But before we get into any of the juicy and strategic advanced Bitcoin DeFi strategies, I'm going to give a little bit of a background as to why we're doing this and a little bit of a precursor of material that might be helpful for some folks before we get into more of the advanced aspects of the show. So if you're new here, no worries. We're going to get into some sort of earlier material, and we also have other available videos on the Stacks YouTube. So feel free to visit the official Stacks YouTube page, where you can see all of the other previous DeFi material that we have shared in the past. So, as I was mentioning, we have a very special show today. I have a little bit of a surprise, maybe a surprise for some folks, maybe not for others, but either way, it's an exciting announcement. We also have two guests that we're going to have speak today. But before I bring them up, let's go ahead and kind of jump into a little bit more of the background as to why we're here and why we're doing this, and why Bitcoin, why DeFi on Bitcoin. So to answer that question, we have to start first with why Bitcoin. And the best way to answer that question is Bitcoin is the strongest monetary asset the world has ever seen. It has unmatched security, it has true decentralization, and most importantly, it has a fixed supply. So while all of those are very, very important and meaningful, monetary strength alone isn't truly enough. Utility matters as well. And so in order to fulfill Bitcoin's full potential, we need to bring programmability and smart contract capability to Bitcoin without compromising Bitcoin's security. And that's important to understand why DeFi matters. So why DeFi? DeFi provides borderless access. Anyone with an internet connection can use it, can access it. There are no central powers, there are no central controlling, there's nothing other than you and your finance. And DeFi allows you to own your finance. Secondly, there's radical transparency. Everything is on chain, audible in real time. You can see it, it's public. And then also the efficiency of the actual finance, where the capital is working harder through automated markets, through lending pools, yield strategies, and with lower costs due to the lack of intermediaries. So with that said, Bitcoin and DeFi, what it provides is that we strive for a world where the most adopted, consistent, and secure digital asset is used in a globally accessible, transparent, and efficient financial way. And that is how we get to Bitcoin DeFi. But if you're wondering, how do we ultimately activate that Bitcoin DeFi? This is where the Stacks blockchain comes in. So Stacks is the leading Bitcoin layer 2. And what that means is ultimately it's an application layer that extends the capabilities of Bitcoin, and it enables smart contracts and decentralized financial applications to use Bitcoin as the secure base layer. So it is repurposing Bitcoin's security that it ultimately already provides. And Stacks extends those Bitcoin capabilities without changing Bitcoin. And what that does is ultimately it unlocks billions of dollars in latent capital. And so what I wanted to talk about a little bit today before getting into our speakers and letting them discuss more of these advanced DeFi strategies is today we're going to spend time discussing SBTC. If you haven't heard or if you're not familiar, SBTC is a one-to-one Bitcoin-backed programmable asset on the Stacks blockchain, and it is secured by Bitcoin itself. So what this means is it allows Bitcoin holders to interact with smart contracts while always being able to move their Bitcoin back to native Bitcoin. It's not a wrap token or a side experiment. It is a core piece of Bitcoin layer 2 roadmap, and it extends Bitcoin's ability to allow Bitcoin to become programmable, productive, yield generating asset. So with that said, Bitcoin holders can finally now do more with their Bitcoin. They can earn yield through lending and borrowing protocols. They can lock up and stack their STX tokens and earn native BTC. But beyond yield, SBTC enables DeFi functionality, and it's all tied back to Bitcoin. And so now we're going to get into that little piece of exciting update that I wanted to share. So as of 10 a.m. this morning of September 16th, this is a major fun part alert, ladies and gentlemen. The SBTC cap has been raised, and it is ultimately now uncapped. There is no SBTC cap. And so for folks who have been following along for the several months that SBTC has been accessible, this is a big moment. For folks who are tuning in for maybe the first time and you're not exactly sure what I'm talking about, a quick snapshot of the history of SBTC. This is a relatively new digital asset. It was launched in December of 2024. It was accessible starting in December of 2024. And when SBTC launched, within just a few short weeks, it reached its cap of 1,000 BTC. So in December of last year, there was a cap, there was a limit of how much SBTC one could access, and it was capped at 1,000 BTC. And then in February of 2025, just 2 months later, the cap was raised to 2,000 BTC, and that cap maxed out and was reached in just a few days. And then 1 month later, in March of 2025, the cap was raised to 5,000 BTC and was reached in a few short hours. So the more that SBTC was becoming a mature and accessible asset, the faster it was being accessed, the faster it was selling out, and that SBTC cap was continuing to get reached. And so now, as of today, that cap has been lifted, and anyone, anywhere, can now access SBTC. So this makes SBTC and Stacks the leading fully expressive or smart contract Bitcoin layer by BTC deployed. Everyone can deploy SBTC on app.stacks.co, and I encourage you all to either take note to do that later today, or if you want to play along and participate in the session that we have coming up over the next few minutes, now would be a good time to try that out. And if you're wondering what some things that you can do with SBTC are, this is why SBTC is the place where Bitcoin grows. So for most Bitcoin holders, a lot of people, they access Bitcoin, they secure their Bitcoin, they hold it, and we all kind of wait for that magical day where we see the Bitcoin price continue to climb and the number goes up. However, with SBTC, you can start earning Bitcoin yield by registering for the rewards program, the SBTC rewards program at bitcoinismore.org, or you can natively in the Lether app, the Lether wallet, you can activate your SBTC rewards. So once you're earning Bitcoin rewards, you can earn additional Bitcoin yield by deploying those Bitcoin rewards in lending and borrowing applications on Stacks, such as Zest, Granite. And through this approach, Stacks allows you to stack your Bitcoin yields. So for the rest of our show today, we're going to get more into some of these advanced strategies. We're going to explore more of the teaser that I just mentioned of what you can do with SBTC. But ultimately, now that we're all up to speed on Bitcoin DeFi, and we've seen some simple strategies with your Bitcoin Stacks applications through SBTC, let's go ahead and get started with the more advanced part of the show. We're going to hear from two Bitcoin DeFi founders. We have Jacob from Hermetica. We have Diego from Bitflow. They're both eagerly waiting to explain to you some ways that you can activate your DeFi even further. But before I bring them up, one quick reminder, this is not financial advice. This is educational material to help you begin your crypto journey. So always do your own research, always stay diligent, and let's learn a little bit more about Stacks DeFi. I'll now bring up our first speaker of the morning. Let's hear it for Jacob from Hermetica. Jacob, floor is yours.
Hey guys, Jacob here, founder of Hermetica. And today I want to go a little bit further down the rabbit hole with you guys and talk about advanced DeFi strategies. And specifically, we're going to talk about a strategy that really uses a lot of different protocols on stacks to generate Bitcoin yield. But first, Adam mentioned this already, small disclaimer for myself as well. This is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. Do your own research. There's always risks when you engage with DeFi and more advanced strategies. So Bitcoin yield is what we want, and is really enabled by Stacks DeFi through what I call money Legos. DeFi's strength is really to create multiple different primitives, multiple different Legos that then can be put together in a unique combination to generate, like I'm going to show you in a second, Bitcoin yield. So money Legos is how all of this gets enabled. And what I want to talk to you today, and I'm going to go through the different Legos and how to actually put them together to create a castle, is how to use different protocols, especially 3 different protocols, Zest, Hermetica, and Bitflow, to generate Bitcoin yield, and importantly, generate Bitcoin yield without taking exposure to the Bitcoin price. So it doesn't matter if the price goes up or down to generate this yield. This is called delta neutral. So I'm going to go through this. It has 3 different steps. I'm going to go through every step one at a time. I'm going to show you how to do it on the actual protocol in real time so you can then get away from this conversation with the ability to do this as well. And also, importantly, do your own research, understand the risks, and then execute it if you so want to. All right, step number 1 is interacting with Zest. We want to start really, step number 0 really is to get some SBTC. So as Adam mentioned, you can come to app.stacks.co and deposit some BTC and mint some SBTC. So I assume you already have that done. And we go with step number one, which is deploying that SBTC into Zest and borrowing USDH, which is Hermetica stablecoin, against that. So we head over to Zest. This is pretty simple. You can supply assets and you can borrow assets. So I go here, I have some SBTC in my wallet that is connected, and I can just hit supply and then supply that to Zest. There is some more information here that you should get familiar with, but I'm just going to supply that. My letter pops up that needs a password. I don't have that right now, but it doesn't matter because I have that already deployed. As you see here, I have SBTC deployed to Zest, your supplies. So I have around $100 of SBTC in my Zest account now, and I can now go here to the borrows and borrow some USDH. Go down here, I see USDH is here. I can borrow 50. Let me borrow a little bit less. Maybe let's borrow 10. Again, here you want to get familiar with this kind of information, what that means. You can also go a little bit deeper, understand everything around LTV and liquidation, very important for risk management. And so if I want to borrow these 10 Bitcoin, I can just click here, borrow. And again, it will show up my letter and I can borrow that. I already have 30 USDH borrowed. And so now I have SBTC. I'm exposed to SBTC. It's just supplied to Zest. And I have some USDH borrowed against that I can then use in step number two. Because step number two is to get some yield on that USDH. And I can do that by going to Hermetica and staking it and receiving the liquid staking token SUSDH in return. So let me show you that in a second here. Go to Hermetica. There's the stake tab at Hermetica. I'm on that already. And it's very simple. You just, I have 20 USDH in my wallet. So I can just select them and click stake. And that is really all it takes to do this. I already have staked some USDH. As you see, I have some SUSDH here. So you can go to the portfolio page and you see how much you have staked. In my case, it's around $10 and how much USDH you have. And then you will see every day your yield coming in here. You see the line of the yield on USDH is up and to the right. So you get every day, you get paid out yield. Right now, over the last 7 days, it has been 8%. On the dashboard, you can get more information about the APY as well. Over the last 30 days, it's been around 9%. As you can see here, it fluctuates, but it's been quite consistently high. In fact, since inception of the protocol, which was around a year ago, stakers have earned around 15% on their USDH. So if we go back to the strategy, we have SBTC deployed on Zest. We have borrowed USDH against that. We still are exposed to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin price goes up, we still capture that. And then now we have staked our USDH and received the liquid staking token SUSDH. Now, the third step is really as we get more yield in USDH from this strategy here, we will want to swap that for SBTC through Bitflow. And that is very simple as well. You can go to the Bitflow site, select USDH, select SBTC, and whatever amount you want to swap. I'm not going to do this right now, but then you can just swap it over, and it's a one click. So now you say, okay, Jacob, this is an interesting strategy, but how do I make money, right? What's my P&L? What's my profit and loss on this strategy? And it's really quite simple. So if you look at Zest, we are paying to borrow, which is 5.73%, but we're making money on the USDH that we have staked, which is over the last 30 days around 9%. Over the last year, it's been over 15%. So that difference between the amount that we are paying and the amount that we're receiving from the staking, right? We're receiving USDH staking yield, we're paying USDH borrow rate. The difference between the two is our Bitcoin yield. So let's say we run this for a year, and rough numbers are 10% in USDH staking yield. Again, over the last year, it's been around 15, and the USDH borrow rate is around 5%. The difference between the two over a year would be 5%. And then we would take those 5%, and as I laid out in step 3, we would swap it back into SBTC. So now we have made a 5% Bitcoin yield. We're still exposed to Bitcoin, but we have 5% more Bitcoin, and we have never taken any exposure to the Bitcoin price. But it actually gets better than this, because if you go to Zest here, you see that your SBTC that is supplied to Zest also is earning money. It's earning a Zest yield, which is the yield that you get from supplying this asset and then other people borrowing SBTC, which is quite small, but there's something there. And then you get the protocol yield, which is the SBTC rewards program that Adam was talking about earlier. If you don't have to register this. If you go and deposit to Zest, Zest automatically registers your SBTC for this program. You get around 3% a year paid out in SBTC. And then you get an additional boosted yield from Zest that is 0.5% a year. So you get an additional 3.5%, which we have to obviously put into our P&L. So these add up to 3.5%. Then the staking yield is 10%, and we pay the borrow rate, which is 5%, which is around, if you add them up, 8.5% a year. Now, this assumes that we're using 100% TVL, which is in practice not possible. It's around 70%, 60%, depending on your risk tolerance. So this will be slightly lower, but you get the idea. You can get a 5% plus yield on your Bitcoin through the strategy using Zest, Hermetica, and Bitflow, and you're not taking any exposure to the price. So let's talk about risks, right? Nothing in life that generates yield comes without risk. If somebody tells you there is no risk, then they're probably lying to you. So the main risks here, these are not all the risks, there are more risks than this, but the main risk if you run the strategy is liquidation risk. You are borrowing against your Bitcoin. If price moves, the yield doesn't change, but if the price moves very quickly and very far, you can get liquidated on your position on Zest, which you obviously want to avoid. There's a penalty that comes with being liquidated. So it's a big risk that you want to manage, and you should really understand how liquidation works before you deploy this kind of strategy. There's also the variable yield risk. The yields are not static. The borrow rate on Zest changes every day, really depends on supply and demand on the platform, and so does the yield that you receive on Hermetica, right? If you look at this chart, this changes every day. It's consistently pretty high, but it changes and can fluctuate up and down. So there are scenarios where the yield on Hermetica goes very much down and the borrow rate goes up, and you could end up with a negative yielding scenario. So you want to make sure that you understand those and can manage that risk. And lastly, there's duration risk. Hermetica's staking mechanism has a 7-day unstaking period. So you have to wait 7 days until you get your USDH back when you unstake it. And that can be a problem because you have to manage that risk if the yields go up and down frequently. Additionally, obviously, if you're interacting with DeFi, there's always risk of smart contract exploits, and in generally just the technology that's underpinning stacks and the different protocols not working. So you want to really understand that and underwrite that on your own research. But to recap this strategy and what it can bring you is BTC on BTC yield, right? So you can really earn Bitcoin on Bitcoin yield through simple interactions with DeFis on stacks. It's fully on chain. You're interacting with 3 different protocols. It's all on chain. It's all transparent. It's all verifiable. You can audit it at any time. And it's delta neutral. You're not exposed to the Bitcoin price. You have to manage your liquidation on Zest, but the yield itself doesn't change if Bitcoin price goes up and down significantly. So that is very good for your peace of mind. All right, that's the strategy that I wanted to present to you. I hope it was clear and you understand both the benefits and the risk. Come and say hi to me on X at jacob.fi, at jacob_BTC. Follow me, send me a message if you're executing this trade and have any questions. Happy to answer them. Also follow us at Hermetica FI. And if you want to stay up to date on what we're building at Hermetica, come to our website, Hermetica FI, scroll to the bottom and put in your email here. We send out very frequent, really weekly updates on what we're building, and we always encourage you to be here on this email list because you will be the first ones to get information about new products. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks so much for being here. Talk soon.
Good morning, everybody. Happy to be back here. Advanced DeFi strategies, Bitcoin DeFi on stacks. Hope you guys are ready. I will do a quick overview for those that may not know Bitflow. I'm co-founder of Bitflow Finance, a decentralized exchange for Bitcoin on stacks. We are a DEX aggregator where you can trade, earn, and stack BTC. We also have liquidity pools, which powers many of the DeFi protocols in this ecosystem. We have native Bitcoin swaps if you want to go directly from Bitcoin to rooms or Bitcoin to any stacks tokens as well. We have some very cool automation tools, a recurring dollar costing average. You can kind of set and forget if you want to buy SBTC, for example, little by little every week. You can do that. It's probably one of the only decentralized finance protocols that you can actually DCA into Bitcoin. And then we have the Bitflow SDK, which is how many of the partners in this ecosystem uses and leverages Bitflow. So this infrastructure unlocks not only trading Bitcoin to stacks, Bitcoin to runes, Bitcoin to stables, such as USDC, but also powers many of the liquidity layer, as we call it. We find you the best rate across multiple protocols, from Arcadico pools to Velar to Bitflow, so that you can always get the best rate. So as you're participating in these DeFi strategies, you may want to exit your position. You may want to unlock your stacking DAO tokens. And you can do that by simply swapping as well, which is an easy way out, and also in if you want to participate. And we'll go over that as well. Again, we are a liquidity layer that powers many of the protocols for liquidations, Ledger, wallet swaps, for example, Xverse, Hermetica, and Zest, users of liquidity pools, Granite, and many others. With Bitflow, it allows you to earn what we call real yield, because as users are swapping one token, token A for token B, USDC to stacks, they're paying a fee. Most of that fees go into liquidity providers like yourself. And that's what we call real yield, right? This is organic yield. So we have many SBTC pools as well, where you deposit SBTC, you also get SBTC. So the underlying token and the rewards are paid out in the same token that you're providing, right? And that's what we call real yield. On top of that, we also have staking and farming rewards. And those are promotional yield paid out, depending on which protocol. Those can be very juicy and for a limited time only. But it's important as you're navigating through liquidity pools to always pay attention to the organic yield, the real trading fees, because that's where the money lies and that's where the truth is. Everything else is just an additional or a bonus on top of that, right? We have been on the stacks for a couple of years now. Number one DEX by trading volume and users, almost $400 million in trading volume year to date, 400,000 transactions. We have over 73,000 community members across Zealy, Discord, and X, with 30,000 unique wallets integrating the protocol and over 10 million in TVL. We have been building a lot of the infrastructure from stable swaps to native Bitcoin swaps, to auto buy DCA and SBTC pool. And we're also getting ready for the HODL, which is a concentrated liquidity engine that is made for Bitcoin assets. And that's going to expand even more your opportunity to earn with Bitcoin. So at the end of the day, we make easy for Bitcoin liquidity to flow. It's essential for any DeFi protocol. And the more usage, the more Ledger, the more Zest, Granite, and everybody in the ecosystem uses and swaps the liquidity, the more fees are going to liquidity providers like yourself. So that's two of the things that we're going to go over today is advanced DeFi strategies, which is basically how do I auto compound, how do I maximize my yield by leveraging 2 or 3 protocols. We're going to go over 2 examples. One of them is stacking your your stacks for stacking for liquid staking token, which just by holding it, it generates 8.78. This is a variable APY, so always check the stacking DAO for the latest. In this strategy, we're actually maximizing this APY by adding your ST stacks to Bitflow's stacks and ST stacks pool, and then stacking that, farming that for additional rewards. So that's giving you today, this is a variable APY. It changes daily based on trading fees and other variables, 16%, 16.8%. So this is a way for you to maximize that yield, right? And you can always enter or exit that position as well. The other strategy that we're going to go over is using Zest. So you're borrowing Zest against your stacks at a rate of 336. So this is the amount that you're paying to borrow, okay? And then you're providing that USDC that you're borrowing by leveraging your stacks collateral to the stacks and USDC pool, which has the highest organic APY on Bitflow, averages around 21%, also changes daily depending on the trading activity. But this is mostly organic yield. So this is one of the most traded pairs, so it has a very high APY. And what happens here, you're basically earning 21%, and then you're paying 3.36% on Zest. And again, these APYs and these borrow APRs, they change constantly. So it's always important to keep on monitoring them, checking your liquidation, checking your balances on Zest as we go through some of these strategies, okay? All right, so jumping right into it. First thing, we're gonna go over stacking DAO, okay? So again, always make sure in the right URL, the right domain. Be careful where links any clicks, and always find the official links in the respective accounts or such as Twitter or Discord and so forth. So stackingdown.com. What I'm doing here, a first strategy is I am going to stake my, I'm going to stack my stacks for STX yield. So the first thing you want to do is define an amount. I'm going to do 10 stacks here. And the one I'm choosing is the liquid staking with stacks yield, which gets you yield immediately. It's currently generating 8.78 APY, right? And when you confirm your stack, there's going to be a pop-up you guys may not be seeing from Ledger Wallet or any wallet they're using. You're going to review that and approve the transaction. Okay, there we go. Transaction has been broadcasted. Let me maximize my screen. And you can see here, Stacking Now is already offering some of these strategies that we're actually talking about. You can earn more yield and more points by depositing into Bitflow or borrowing against or supplying on Zest protocol, which is pretty cool. So this transaction is progress. It's gonna take a couple seconds for it to confirm, okay? Once it confirms, you're already earning stacking DAO yield, okay? You're already earning stacks yield, which is paid directly to the protocol. And what's cool about stacking DAO, you also have this active positions section here on the bottom of the app. And you can see your active positions, tokens that you're holding, Also, if you're providing liquidity to the Stacks and ST Stacks pool, you can also see it here from your Stacking DAO app as well, which is pretty cool. And then you can see here I have 72 that's not earning yield, so that's not good, right? So what's the next step? Once you get your Stacks, ST Stacks, what you want to do is head over to Bitflow. Okay, you can go directly to the pool page, and you can find the Stacks and ST Stacks pool. As you can see, we have multiple pools. You can browse, which makes it a little bit easier. And always pay attention to the live pool. We have a couple migrating pools. So this is the live one. It has 2.58, 2.5 million, about 71K volume in the last 24 hours. And you can see the pool APY here, as well as the pool composition, which is how many of each token is in this liquidity pool. Okay. So the first step is adding liquidity to this pool. And what's cool about the Stacking DAO liquidity pool is that you can do single-sided liquidity. Or you can do any amount of liquidity. We call it a flex pool because you can provide any amount on any side. It doesn't have to match the pool ratio, which is the exact amount of the pool. You can do just stacks. You can do just ST stacks, right? So that gives you full flexibility. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do single-sided liquidity. I just stacked my stacks on Stacking DAO, and now I have 8.89 ST stacks, okay? So I'm going to do I'm going to do 8 here, ST stacks. I'm going to uncheck match pool ratio, okay? So that you don't have to provide on both sides. It's up to you. You can. And essentially because these two tokens are very similar price, the ST stacks are a little bit higher. When you remove this liquidity, you're getting back the pool composition, right? So even if you provide single-sided liquidity, it's important to note that when you remove liquidity, you're matching the pool composition. So if you provide 10 stacks and 10 ST stacks and you remove that, you're going to get 55% stacks and 44% ST stacks. So that's important to keep in mind. But how do we get to the 16%? So I'll show you. First thing you want to do is add liquidity to the ST stacks. In this case, again, single-sided liquidity, any amount. Confirm. There's going to be a pop-up to sign the transaction. I am approving it. And then you can see here this pop-up that your transaction has been broadcasted. You can follow this directly on the Explorer, and it already has been confirmed in the block. That was super fast. All right, so I'm already earning organic yield here. But what's unique about this pool is that we have staking rewards. What is staking rewards? It's farming. It's where you lock up your tokens in exchange for promotional yield. So when you hover here, you can see that Stacking DAO yield is generating 3.94, which is half of the pool is ST stacks. So half of the pool is generating about 4% APY. And then you have booster rewards. These are promotional rewards on top as incentive for locking up and for farming, which is 12.73. And then you have organic APY, which is the trading fee. So that comes out to a total of 16.91, almost 17%. This is also a variable. It changes as organic fees are, as more people are trading, more or less. So it's always important to check that out. So the next step is, as you can see here, I have, let me refresh my screen. I have about $9 of stacks and ST stacks LP in this pool. I want to maximize my yield. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stake this in the farming pool. You can also go to earn. You can find that specific pool. And let me go back here. What's cool about this as well is you're getting 150% points multiplier on Stacking DAO. You're also getting 2x points on Bitflow, and you're getting the organic APY plus staking APY. Okay. So to stake, it's pretty easy. You can see your LP balance here, which is your positions in the pool. I have about 8 LP, ST stacks and stacks LP. I'm going to add a max here, and then you have the option to choose how many cycles. A cycle is about 24 hours, okay? You can do any amount. You can do 1 day. You can do 10, 20, whatever you feel comfortable with, okay? This means that for 20 cycles or 20 days, you're not going to be able to have access to these tokens. These are going to be locked in a smart contract that's going to be earning daily emissions, okay? So let's do 10 days. And you click Start Earning. There's going to be a pop-up as well. You sign this transaction. We can see this transaction in the Explorer. This takes a couple more minutes. And then once that transaction is confirmed, you will see here your positions, your actively earning positions. So we haven't, this is the previous position that I have. You can see the total amount. You can also see the next unlock. So basically when these LP tokens will be available for you to reclaim, which is very important, okay? So we are at cycle 148, and some of my tokens are going to be unlocked at cycle 150. So it's about 48 hours or 2 days. And when they are available, they're going to show up here available to reclaim, and then you can reclaim your LP tokens. You can swap it back, remove your position, or maybe stake it again, okay? On the rewards tabs, this is where you're going to see your daily rewards, okay? And in this case, this unique pool, we're actually paying rewards in LP tokens. What does that mean? So instead of getting stacks or ST stacks, you're getting both already in the pool. So this position is also earning organic yield. So it's kind of like a compound, right? So as you can see here, I have 0.023 LP tokens already available to reclaim. And this is a daily emissions, right? You don't have to come in, you don't have to come back daily. You can set a calendar for 7 days, whatever it is, or claim it at the end of your staking cycle, whatever you feel comfortable, okay? You can claim these rewards. Again, a pop-up will show to approve the transaction. And then once you claim these LP tokens, you can add, again, more to your staking position, or you could just continually earning the yield, or you can swap it back and remove it. It's really, really up to you, okay? So as you can see here, my active earning position has updated. Now I have 12 LP positions, not 12 tokens, okay? This is 12 LP tokens, not 12 stacks. And I'm actively earning emissions. So daily, you'll be able to see these rewards coming in, right? And you can reclaim them and do whatever you feel comfortable with, right? If you're done staking, you claim your rewards, you unstaked it, reclaim your position, you can go back to the pool, which is super easy, and you can remove liquidity, okay? So this is what remove liquidity means. So you're removing your position from the liquidity pool, and you'll see your balance. You'll also see the estimated stacks and the estimated stacked ST stacks token return, right? So again, even though you're providing single-sided liquidity, when you're removing liquidity, you're getting back the same pool composition. So in this case, it's 55-45. You're getting 55% stacks and 44% ST stacks. So that's very important. If you want to continue earning on stacks, you would go back to the stacking DAO and stake your stacks. Or a simple way, super fast, is you can quickly swap your stacks tokens for ST stacks. And that's a very easy way. I call it a shortcut to start earning yield on stacking DAO. By just swapping. Just by swapping, you're now holding ST stacks. And when you go back to the Stacking DAO app, you actually be able to see your position. So it works both ways. You can come in and stack your tokens here, or you can use Bitflow to swap in and out of position. This applies to many of the other tokens as well, including ST Stacks BTC, which is the liquid staking with SBTC yield, or other tokens in the protocol, okay? So that's one of the strategies, okay? You're maximizing the yield. You're taking advantage of the farming rewards on Bitflow, which is giving you 16% APY, and you are earning, almost double of the stacking DAO for a limited time only. This is a promotional yield, so it's important to always pay attention, manage your positions, and see what's best for you and which one is, which position is generating the most yield and balance that out, right? Because these two pools are essentially the same token, ST Stacks is worth a little bit more. There is no risk of direct and permanent loss, right? Which is usually when you have two different tokens and the price variation of those tokens change, right? So if you're holding Bitcoin and Stacks and Bitcoin goes up, and Stacks go down or vice versa, you have a variation and you have what we call impermanent loss on your position, which is measured by what if I just held Stacks versus providing liquidity, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, which is not the case for most stable pools because stable pools are two assets of the same value. So what you're getting back when you remove liquidity is still going to be Stacks or ST Stacks. Okay. So that's one easy strategy. I think it's one of the easiest to do for many beginners. It's important to remember to come back and claim your rewards. Also, when your LP position is unlocked from the farming pool, you do have to reclaim. The protocol has no access to your funds. We have no access to your rewards. Only you, the user, only you with that connected wallet can claim and remove positions. Okay, so that's very important. So it's a good idea to just, if you set it for 10 days, put a calendar reminder, come back a couple days later, check it out, and come back in 10 days, reclaim your tokens. So it's unstaked from the farming contract. Okay. The other strategy we're going to go over, it's a little bit different than maximizing yield. This one, you're actually borrowing at a cost, which today, to borrow USDC using your stacks as collateral is about 3.36. And then you're providing that USDC as collateral to the Bitflow pool, and you're earning about 21% APY, right? There's a higher risk here of liquidations, as Jacob has covered in the previous segment. So you do have to monitor your ZEST position to see if the APR, the cost of borrowing, is still worked and balances it out. And the other is we're dealing with two different assets. One is a stable USDC, it's always worth $1, and then you have stacks, right? So as the pool composition changes, when you remove your liquidity, you may get 55% USDC, 45% stacks, or 40% stacks, 60% USDC. So that pool composition changes. So if the price of stacks goes up, there's going to be more demand for people to sell stacks. So usually the pool will rebalance itself. And when you remove it, you're going to get a little bit less stacks. You're going to get more USDC. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so how do we do this? Let's go to Zest. Okay, you're connecting your wallet. Again, pay attention to the URLs. Be careful with phishing scams. Always find the official links in their respective accounts. So I'm connected here to the Zest protocol. First thing you need to do is you need to supply your asset, which will be used as collateral, and then you can borrow against that specific asset. Okay, so I'll give you an example here. Let's come in with stacks. Okay, so I'm going to supply stacks, which is generating 4.21% APY. Let's do another 10. And you can see here all of the details, estimated yield, supply APY. So if you're just supplying on Zest, this is a very important data. This is like how much are you earning to supply your tokens to the protocol. And then collateral is how much of this collateral can you use to take out a loan, right? To borrow other assets. In this case, the max LTV is 50%, and liquidation threshold is about 70. So when it gets to about 70% of the current price that you're supplying, borrowing liquidity, it will get liquidated. So it's very important to manage your position as well. So I'm supplying, there's a pop-up wallet here. I'm approving my transaction, and you can see here the transaction is in progress. And in this type of DeFi strategy, I'm supplying asset, I'm going to borrow, and then I'm going to add to liquidity pool on Bitflow. If it does get liquidated here, means that you don't pay it back or you don't come back to Zest, you still have your LP tokens, you still have your tokens on Bitflow, right? So these are separate transactions. So what you're basically doing here, you're taking out a collateral and then you're using that collateral on Bitflow or any other protocol, okay? So as you can see here, I have about $27 of Zest balance. I have $11 of SBTC, and I have $16 or 24 stacks, okay? What I want to do is, looking down here in the assets to borrow, you have a few options, okay? I'm only covering one here, but you can borrow ST stacks at 0.78 and then follow the previous strategy I just covered, right? You borrow at 0.78 and you're earning about 421, so you're already positive here, and then you're maximizing your yield on the flex pools on Bitflow, right? One strategy that we're going to be doing here is USDC. So what you can see here, the borrow APR, okay, which is the cost of borrowing a particular asset, fluctuate, it changes, so it's always important to be monitoring this, okay, which is 336. So I'm borrowing at 336, and then I'm lending, providing liquidity to the Bitflow protocol for around 21%, okay? So I'm gonna click borrow here, and you can see I have 798 available. I can borrow, you know, let's say 50%, whatever you feel comfortable. The higher you borrow, the more risk of liquidation as well. So let's say I'm borrowing 50%. It seems like this is a healthy amount. You can see the liquidation price as well, and you click borrow. There's going to be a wallet pop up. I am clicking approve. My transaction is being broadcasted. Let's wait a few seconds to confirm. There we go. Awesome. And this is where you manage your positions. You can see your supplies and you can see your borrows, okay? And you can see how I'm also using 50% of my supplies to borrow USDC, okay? You can come back here anytime and repay it, or you could provide liquidity on Bitflow, and then once you finish your position or you earn some yield, you can come back here and repay it as well. You just have to pay attention to the borrow APR because it changes daily, okay? So once you get USDC and you have some stacks, you want to go over to the pools again, and you have stacks and USDC, okay? This is not a flex pool, so you do have to provide liquidity on both sides, okay? So it's important to have a little bit of, have enough stacks on one side, okay? So in this case, I borrow $4 from Zest. As you can see here, it shows up as my balance. I'm gonna max this, meaning like I'm providing all of my USDC, and then automatically we're calculating how much stacks you need to provide on the other side, okay? So you're providing stacks and USDC in this pool. So I'm providing another $4 of stacks and another $4 or so of USDC, okay? You click confirm, and there's going to be a wallet pop-up. You approve that, and then this transaction is in progress. It's going to get submitted in the blockchain. It takes about a couple minutes, add and remove liquidity. And once that is complete, oh, there we go. Once that is complete, you're going to be able to see your positions here. You can see I have about $7 or almost $8 of stacks and USDC. I'm earning about 21.27% APY, okay? And you can hover this to see how it's calculated. This changes daily, but this is sort of the average, okay? And this is organic yield, so you don't have to stake it, you don't have to farm it. This is it. You're providing liquidity. You can remove it at any time. How are the fees paid? So the fees automatically accumulate back to your LP position. So what does that mean? So if you added about $8 here and you start earning trading fees daily, when you remove your LP position, okay, you're going to get a little bit more. So you're going to get your LP position plus any trading fees, okay? In this case, we just added, so there's not going to be any difference, but this is the tab that you come here to remove liquidity. You can add or remove liquidity at any time. It's really up to you. We're not locking this up in any sort of way. So this gives you that flexibility to say, hey, you know, APR on Zest protocol has changed. I want to remove my liquidity, swap it back to USDC, and pay back and repay my loan, right? And I think we can do that real quick. So let's say I'm removing my liquidity. You're going to see your balance, and the trading fees are going to accumulate back to your LP position, so that when you remove, you're going to get a little bit more stacks and a little bit more USDC on the way back, okay? So you can quickly remove it. And that takes a few seconds. It looks like withdrawal is confirmed. Let's go to the swap page. I want to see if my USDC balance is there. Okay, my USDC balance is there. And then I can come back here to Zest and repay my loan. And you confirm that in a wallet. And in a few seconds, you get a confirmation. And that's it. That's a complete DeFi loop from borrowing on Zest, supplying, borrowing, providing liquidity on Bitflow, and back. If there's any questions, we do have a very comprehensive support desk on the corner of the app. You can also open a chat, find answers, or open a ticket, and one of our customer service teams will help you out. Always be careful with links. Follow the official links on the app. You can join Discord as well. We have a very active community that can help you out. Always, you know, as you're coming in early, maybe first time, try in a small amount. Read everything, read the guides, make sure that you're monitoring your positions. And then when you feel more comfortable, you start increasing your liquidity provisions in these pools. But if you have any questions, follow us on Bitflow _finance as well. My DMs are also open for anybody that wants to reach out, and I hope to see you in our Discord community, and where you can share some of your trading strategies and some of the opportunities that we shared in this call today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Diego. And thank you so much, Jacob. Big shout out to both of our DeFi founders today, giving us a really good overview as to how you can get started and how you can begin implementing these advanced DeFi strategies. I always love learning firsthand from these DeFi founders. Appreciate you guys being here and giving us a little bit of an overview as to how to get going using your products. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's webinar. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned. I hope you start earning Bitcoin yield by implementing these strategies. And I want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if you haven't yet, be sure to register to the STX Bitcoin DeFi Luma event page. To do that, just visit stx.is/STXDeFi. If you have already done this, great. If you haven't, just be sure to do so, because when you register, you're going to receive an email in a few days that will allow you to join DeFi bounties for STX rewards. So really cool way, really easy way to go ahead and get started. It's important to register so that you can partake in these DeFi on stacks without losing out on the rewards. So one more time, just visit stx.is/STXDEFI. And you can check out the Stacks YouTube for the previous workshops that we've held focused on DeFi strategies on Stacks. I am your host, Adam Hahn. I am signing off. I want to thank you one more time for being here, and I'll see you next time. Take care.